Hello everyone, we're here today to talk about reactions to stress. Your vocabulary words for today's lecture are anxiety, anger, fear, and social support. The first thing we're going to look at is the fight or flight response. So we talked about hormones several months ago, and we're focusing specifically on the adrenal glands right now. And so they're going to release hormones that increase your energy into your bloodstream. This is part of the fight or flight response. Adrenaline is one of these hormones, and it increases your heart rate and breathing. It enables your body to use energy quickly so that you can do this fight, right? So we could react to a stressor by standing up to it, or flight, trying to remove ourselves as quickly as possible from the stressor. So these hormones that are released by the adrenal gland will give you the energy to respond. This is a biological self-defense and preservation mechanism. So it was designed many years ago for us to figure out, do we need to run away from this thing that's dangerous, or can I fend it off? And so we still employ these mechanisms today when we're dealing with stressors in our life. Another response to stress is the general adaptation syndrome. Again, Hans Selye in 1956 and 1976 looked at or developed the general adaptation syndrome theory, and he says that there are 3 stages to our stress reaction. First is alarm, so we're faced with this fight or flight. We're faced with this immediate decision on how we're going to respond to it. The second stage of stress is resistance. Can we learn how to cope with whatever it is that is stressing us out? Cope is like deal with it. And then exhaustion. Eventually your body will reach a point where it no longer has the energy resources to deal with a stressor that you are continued to be exposed to. Your energy resources are just gone. And you will be left feeling drained. You also have emotional and cognitive responses, and we'll get more into anxiety in a couple lectures, but the general definition of anxiety is this vague, generalized feeling of apprehension or impending danger. And it is really the most common response that you're going to have to a sudden stressor. So I think in class before I talked about how I was in a car accident, and a lot of times like coming to an intersection where there's a 4-way stop or a red light with a hidden corner will give me this feeling of anxiety because I have had danger in the past related to this, so I'll have this reoccurring feeling of anxiety related to it. Another emotional reaction to stress is anger. So people could be feeling like super stressed out right now about being locked in their homes for a long time, and you might find that people are more irritable, more angry about things. And this is the irate reaction that comes about generally from some sort of frustration. And lots of things can be frustrating. Stress is frustrating. You also could experience fear. And this is when it's something you experience when you feel like you're in danger, whether it's a real danger, like you see a car running the red light, or an imagined danger, like I remember that one time that the car ran the red light, so I'm afraid now because I'm imagining this danger. So some of the different cognitive reactions to this, if you're feeling stressed out, you could have a hard time concentrating or thinking clearly. So in the last lecture, I talked about how I work well under pressure, and that's why I tend to be a little bit of a procrastinator. I don't know if any of you guys out there are procrastinators as well, but if I get to a point where it's like looking like I really might not meet a deadline, counterintuitively, I'm also having a really hard time concentrating because my brain is like just reacting to the stress that I'm feeling. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to get it done. Instead of just sitting down to do it, my brain is telling me all the different ways and different things that I like should have done prior to this moment that would allow me to get work done. Other reactions to stress, you could have reoccurring thoughts. Also, you tend to not make the best decisions if you are feeling stressed out. So it's important to try to make especially like significant life decisions when you are feeling calm and in control. As I mentioned before, with this exhaustion, but if you are faced with continued frustration, you can burn out. Like your body can just emotionally, physically, cognitively not handle it anymore. And then you are just left exhausted. You might not be able to get out of bed. You're less engaged in the world around you. And that is your body trying to recover from this intense, prolonged stress that you are feeling. Some behavioral reactions to stress. You could develop nervous habits like sometimes when I am doing public speaking, I might twist my hair around my fingers when my hair was longer, or people bite their nails. If you're stressed, you can overeat, which is like emotional eating. You might hear people talk about doing that, but you can also undereat. So some people just don't want to eat at all when they're stressed, which is also very unhealthy. Stress can lead to an increase in searching for things outside of your body to make you feel better, like smoking, drinking, or drug use. People who are stressed a lot will just feel tired all the time, and that gets back to that burnout idea. Or there's this like intense desire to just escape it. Like, I don't know if you've ever been so frustrated in your life that you're like, I just need to GTFO, I'm gonna run away because like I can't handle this anymore. Even if you don't really mean it, there's this like desire to just escape it. And that is a totally normal reaction to stress, but we need to look at positive ways to deal with stress. Some other physical reactions to stress. So we talked about change in thoughts and emotions, but they can also produce physiological changes in your body. That's changes to your body itself. And we'll look at psychosomatic symptoms more in the future, but like when you're stressed, you can have a headache for no reason, like no physical reason, like you don't have a headache because of sinus pressure. You have a headache because of stress. Stress is not a physical reason, but because of the way your body's perceiving things, it is causing your headache. People feel stomach aches, or they will have nausea when they're stressed. You might experience muscle pain. These are ways that your body reacts to this sensation of stress. And I believe this was mentioned in the last lecture, but just a reminder that if you are under prolonged stress, like stress that lasts for days at a time, years at a time, this can have lasting health issues for you. So it's important to learn ways to cope with and deal with stress. So there are different reactions to stress, and some things that influence the way that you personally respond to stress could be personality differences. So type A people that are like generally by the books and very like generally like seen as on top of things, very specific. They are generally that way because they are under a chronic, constant state of stress. So I have to be here, I have to do this, I have to do this, da, 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 like step by step by step, and your body is just releasing all of these stress hormones to help you deal with the stress of trying to get everything done. A lot of times, being overly emotional can seem like a negative thing. However, learning how to express your emotions, especially in a positive manner, can actually really help relieve stress in all individuals. And learning how to, like I said, positively express them can be a great way to cope with stress that you're feeling. We talked about last time the way you perceive stress or stressors can influence whether you feel stress or not. So generally, if you are in a situation where you feel like you have more control, even if it's a stressful situation, you feel like you can predict the outcome or predict reactions to stress, you will generally overall experience less stress. You'll feel like you have a better grip on things. So people like to feel like they're in control. So knowing that you have a test coming up and studying for it, a test can be stressful, but you know, I've set aside this time to study, so I'm not going to become overwhelmed by this upcoming idea of a test because I am in control and I am studying now. Social support is another like indisputable aspect that will help us deal with stress. So do you have a great group of friends or family members, any social group that can help and support you? in times that you're stressed out, somebody you can talk to, somebody you can call. Sometimes just being with somebody can just help us with our stress. And really, in the long term, like it helps in the short term feeling stressed, but in the long term, people with positive social support systems generally have a less likelihood of having stress-related diseases. So there are different types of social support. So the first one is emotional. So being there for somebody physically, being affectionate, showing concern for them. Then there's appraisal. This happens through a conversation, like really trying to understand what the stress that the person is feeling. Informational support is like offering somebody information about how to relieve their stress or things that could help. And then instrumental is direct help, like actually physically helping somebody deal with their stress. So the main idea of today's lecture was that people are unique and we react differently to stressors in life, and these reactions, however they come out, can be beneficial or they can be harmful. And so it's important to find beneficial, helpful ways to deal with stress. This is just a quick review of your assignment that's due this week, the stress log assignment. You can find the link to the stress log template in your Google Classroom. Remember to keep a log of the hassles and uplifting events. Try to be as specific as possible. What's the event? How did you respond? And was it positive or was it a hassle? And then part 2 is analyze and reflect on your day. What was your overall mood? Were there more good events or bad events? What are some things that you can do to help focus on positive things in your life? This assignment is due Friday, May 1st, and it's worth 15 points. Again, you can find all of the information in your Google Classroom. Remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot me an email at brittany.dambro@lansingschools.net. Have a great day, guys.